Self-love, self-love, self-love. Easier said than done, right? It's one of those things that seems so elusive for a lot of us, but need it be? Do we really understand what it means, and why is it so hard to love ourselves the way we'd love another? Well, in today's video, we'll explore just that, as well as introducing what I believe to be the 5 essential steps to self-love. I will be doing follow-up videos that shall give in-depth insights into each step, so please take a moment to subscribe to stay in the loop. So without further ado, I hope you're able to get something positive out of this video. Just as with outward expressions of love, self-love means a lot of things to a lot of people. But perhaps the best definition I found was that on Urban Dictionary of all places, where one contributor defined it as to unconditionally spoil yourself, value yourself, and accept your self-worth. Putting yourself first so you can grow externally and internally for you. It's a value that shows and symbolizes how much you appreciate and accept who you are and not who you're told to be. Self-love is therefore the cure to self-hate. And there's so much truth to this definition, which essentially says, unabashedly focus on yourself in order to flourish for yourself and others. This is especially important to keep in mind in a society whereby spoiling yourself or putting yourself first can sometimes be interpreted as being selfish. Even appreciating and accepting who you are can have others deeming you to be, well, full of yourself. So it's little wonder we veer from self-love when we aren't taught to be comfortable with it. A good friend of mine put it best when he said, the maddest part about self-love journeys is that initially you would have had to have learned not to love yourself in the first place. It is a journey that begins by unintentionally learning to not love yourself. So when you look at it that way, we can conclude that this pandemic self-loathing is not a facet of our default state. So what can we do to overcome and reverse the destructive occurrences that have led to this fallout? What can we do to fall in love with ourselves again? Well, firstly, we can start with self-acceptance. This is probably the most difficult aspect of self-love. We're subjected to so many images of polished ideals, whether that be aesthetic ideals, ideals regarding success, or where one ought to be in life at a particular point. These all play into how we perceive our self-image and where we place our self-worth relative to the world around us. They say comparison is the thief of joy, and that is with good reason. Eliminating comparison is an important step in self-acceptance. With that said, perhaps the first and most important step to self-acceptance is healing. Healing your guilt, your shame, your pain, your regrets. It is difficult to accept yourself if, when you look at yourself, all you see are wounds. It isn't until you start accepting who you are that you can start loving who you are. But it doesn't stop with acceptance. You also have to appreciate yourself and understand your value. Ask yourself, what are the things that make you great? And if you're struggling with the answer to that, then take a moment to think about your favorite things in life. They could be anything. But I can guarantee you could probably effortlessly list all the things that make them great. So why are you able to appreciate your favorite restaurant or your favorite band or whatever it might be, but when it comes to yourself? I remember an old Dove commercial whereby participants were asked to say what they liked about themselves and then what they liked about their friend. Invariably, they struggled with identifying the positives in themselves, but were able to speak gleefully about what they liked about their friend. This is to say that we have to be open to recognizing our positive traits, because if others can see them, then surely they most certainly must exist. And 9 times out of 10, the things we're insecure about are either things that other people don't notice or they don't care about, or even sometimes those are the things they love about us the most. Once we become open to seeing the best in ourselves, we can learn to appreciate ourselves independently of validation from others. With all that said, perhaps the foundation of self-acceptance and appreciation is self-compassion. And in fact, I maybe even go as far as to say compassion may just be the most critical aspect of self-love, or any type of love for that matter. You see, when you show yourself compassion, you say to yourself, I understand your pain and I'm not here to fan the flames. I'm gonna help you get through it and I'm gonna help you grow. To better illustrate this, when your 4-year-old falls over, you tell them you understand their hurt, but that they will get better and that you will be there not only to comfort them through the process, but let them know it's still okay to run again. In contrast, what a lot of us do when we fall is we say things like, "You're a fool, you're an embarrassment, you're no good, why even bother trying?" So the way in which we show our self-compassion is usually centered around the language we use towards ourselves. As I've stated in previous videos, negative self-talk can be detrimental to your overall mindset. If you had a friend or a partner who'd talk so negatively about you, chances are you wouldn't stand for it. And you shouldn't stand for it from yourself either. Be gentle with yourself and show yourself the kindness you deserve. Another way to show yourself kindness is through setting boundaries. Boundaries are perhaps the most underappreciated facet of self-love, especially for those of us, like myself, with giving personalities. Setting boundaries allow you to protect your energy as well as protect your self-esteem. If something were to go wrong in a flight, you'd probably be told to put your oxygen mask on first, even if you had dependents. Why? Because making sure you are in prime condition ensures you are able to be a utility for others. Boundaries are your oxygen mask. They are your way of saying, I need to look after myself, I need space to breathe, to equalize my mind, so when it's time to give, you're ready. As with anything, the catalyst for change is consistency, and this is no different when engaging with self-love. You often hear the process of learning to love yourself again referred to as self-love journeys, but perhaps this is a slight misnomer because self-love is not a place you can arrive at and be done with. It is a habit. It is something you need to practice and maintain day in, day out. So take the time to grow in love. You need to accept yourself, appreciate yourself, show yourself compassion and be okay with setting boundaries. Most of all, you need to practice. So, as stated earlier, I will be doing follow-up videos where I go into more depth on acceptance, appreciation, compassion and setting boundaries and how you can practice self-love in order to flourish. So for now, I will leave you with this cute message from the wonderful Brianna.
I don't care if you don't like me. I love me.